of New York rather, if a young man under 18 gets arrested, you still have to go to school. So a lot of times you're in your cell and 7 o'clock in the morning you gotta go to the school. And one of my former co-workers is here. Thank you so much, Dion, for showing up, looking like Pan Greer. Thank you. So I've done work with the Rikers Island inmates. I've counseled done family mediation. I've taught high school, particularly writing. And currently I'm counseling college students with CUNY. So I've been doing this for a while, and I have a strong passion for it. And I've also written books for our young, our youth, boys and girls. My last books were on young black girls. There was a high rate of female gangs a couple of years that started. I don't know if you're aware of that. One particular group would go around harassing passengers on the buses and trains. And of course, with my own daughter, I just saw a need to write about what was going on with young girls, black girls, in the hood. And when you have a female child, you really learn about the stress of black women. One of the things my daughters used to say is, you have no idea what I got to go through when I leave the house. And there are men your age who are trying to talk to me and get me in their cars. So, after I wrote about her, a lot of parents and teachers said, well, what about the guys? What about the sons? We really need you to talk about them. So this is a result of that. And the other reason why I write books is I noticed that a lot of books towards our youth, they tend to be formula-based. In other words, the experts are talking to the experts. The language tends to be professorial, very cerebral, and it kind of goes over people's heads. It talks around the young person. It even talks around the parent. And a lot of times when you read these books, it sounds like somebody's dissertation, because it is. So it looks good when the book is on the shelf at Barnes and Nobles, but if nobody's picking it up, then how does it become applicable? How do we apply it, right? And we don't. Bill Cosby came out with a book last year. What was it? Come On People? Something like that? But everyone but us read it. So this book and the other books I write directly to us. The language is plain language. There is a place for professorial language. That's true in the academia. But in this case, I'm talking straight to you. I'm talking straight to the young man and to the parents. From parent to parent, I'm saying, I feel your stress, but here's the other side of the stress. Here's their voice. And I try to play mediator in the book. So when you see the words, message to a young blood, a conversation with our sons, I'm being real. It's a conversation that you can sit down and have with your son, your grandson, your nephew, your boyfriend, or even your own husband. Because if you pay attention to what's going on with grown men, you can tie it with what happened with when he was a child, and how that sort of shows up in our later years. So with that said, before I also start I want to say thank you to Sister Jennifer. It's very important that we're here, because not only are you supporting me, and I hope that support means you're going to buy some copies too there at the counter, but you're also supporting one of the few last black-owned bookstores. And I don't know if you're paying attention, but they're going and going and going, and Sisters is one of the last few standing. I'm not even sure Liberation Bookstore is still around.
No.
It's gone, ain't it?
Yeah.
They're going. They're going. So please, let's continue supporting this wonderful place, because it's a gem. Because if this goes, where are we going to go, people? right? All right? Okay, so why are we here? We're here because we're concerned about our sons. We're here because we want to understand what's going on with our sons. And if we're parents, we're here because maybe I want to try something different. If you're young, maybe you want to understand what's going on with you. So, but bottom line, we're here because we love our sons and we just want to understand. It's not just simple to say the system. Sure, like Kwanzaa Kunjufu said, there is a conspiracy. We see it. That's past. We know that. But what are we doing ourselves to add to the conspiracy? And that's really what I want to talk about. What is our role in this? Okay? Are we raising our children, or are we expecting others to raise them for us? Are we expecting teachers to raise our kids for us? And what are we doing to explain to our children why we dropped the ball and now they got to pick it up? Okay? All right. So what I'm going to do is just talk about a couple of things, different sections of the book. There's a lot of sections, but I figured I'll just take a couple of points to share with you. The first thing I want to talk about is the emotional health of young males of African descent. The second thing I want to talk about is the choices that they make and the choices that we make. Third is the perceptions females have of males of African descent. The perceptions. Fourth is male rage. And I'm only going to touching these points because it's very important to understand what's happening. And male rage is one of them that you really must understand. The other one is the public school system. We got to talk about that. Why our boys don't like to read and write. That's very important. Solutions. We tend to focus on the problems. I don't know if you watch the Tavis Smiley Summit every year or every 2 years, we'll talk about what's going wrong. I want to also talk about solutions. We know what's wrong. Let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about some ideas. And some of you are going to participate, by the way. Some other points I want to cover is, what is it about church that our sons are not feeling? Sure, we have some young people who go to church, and some of them are actually excited. But what about the ones right now across the street who ain't feeling it? And how do we get them to put spirituality in their life? And I want to talk about parent stress, youth stress, and finally, I want to talk about the definition of what makes a man, because that's a very difficult thing right there. That whole definition of how do I show my manhood? What is a man? Is a man a thug? Is a man a good father? Is a man that has money? If I don't have money, then does that mean I'm not a man? So there's a lot of questions around what is manhood? And then of course we'll have a discussion, okay? All right, y'all with me?
Yeah.
Good, good. So let's start with what I first proposed is the emotional health of our sons. There's something called functional depression. And as a counselor, what I notice is that our sons are walking around acting as though everything is fine. And you know they're not fine. So what's functional depression? Can someone define? You know what depression is? So what do you think functional depression is? Functional depression. This is not going to be one of those, I'm going to lecture and you just sit down and listen. This is black people time.
That you're
I want
walking
all
around.
of y'all to open your mouths and chime in. What do you think functional depression is?
Well, from a youth perspective, I think functional depression is basically that terminal sadness and just going about it, but yet you already accepted the fact that you ain't gonna amount to anything, and so you put on this facade as if everything is okay, but for the times that you do need outings, instead of being creative, you're going to parties, you're engaging in promiscuous activities, and you're smoking and drinking.